just catch the ball. Then the second step would be to
Well, hey, what's your guys' perception as far as how the rest of the country is looking at this Cardinals 2-0 start? I think people are always going to be slow to give the Cardinals that much credit. They're going to have to earn it more than anybody else for whatever reason. But I think the main authorities nationally know what's going on and know that this team has talent, and with Arians is capable of doing a lot this year.
I think it's an Arizona thing, really. I mean, there's a lot of national media. If you're not in New York, LA, San Francisco, or Chicago, you don't exist. I think really the big storyline coming out of the Sunday's game nationally wasn't Cardinals win, start 2-0, lay a smackdown on the Bears. It was more Jay Cutler's injury.
Right.
What does this mean for the Bears?
Yeah,
it's just one of those things. We're a mid to big market out here in the Phoenix area. We're just not New York, LA, or Chicago, and it just takes a lot to get noticed out here.
Yesterday, we were trying to put our show together. We wanted some post-game sound from maybe Bruce Arians, maybe a couple players. So we call our ABC feed,
News 1 affiliate, yeah.
And they said, actually, the only thing our photographer shot today was Bears Post.
Essentially, ESPN could have chosen between Bears or Cardinals post-game because they have one camera out there. They chose Bears.
That just shows.
It's just one of those things. It's Chicago's a bigger market, and it's just, I think maybe we have a little bit of a complex out here with that sort of thing. And it goes back to the visiting fans infiltrating our stadiums as well. It's so hard to really establish a national presence.
Well, okay, and part of the problem, we all know what that is. There's so many people from other cities that live here, and that's the game they choose to go to when the Cardinals play their hometown team. I think you have that same effect now throughout the country. There's a lot of people from Phoenix that have moved to other cities. And there's a lot of fans that are very proud of this team now and wants to represent. I mean, the switch has completely flipped. The script is totally different than we all know that. And we're going to see the benefits of that. But I'll make a bold prediction here. I think the Cardinals keep doing what they're doing, and they play a very exciting brand of ball. Bruce Arians, people love his tough dude shtick. I mean, that is a catchy, cool, sexy thing around the country. People catch on to that. I think the Cardinals have the opportunity to become America's team this season, where, for instance, ABC will be calling us to get interviews with the Cardinals that we can put out on the feed for them on weekends. And I just think when you have a team that's flashy, exciting, still humble, but can back it up with wins, man, that is the perfect formula for the whole country to jump on board. And with a whole head coach that doesn't give a rip what he says, no filter, but still smart. He's not going to go Rex Ryan on you. I mean, everything he says is still within the lines of reason. He does it for motivation and whatnot, but it's entertaining.
Right.
One of our most popular segments on the web, stories on the web during August, during training camp, was Bruce Arians' 5 best quotes from his press conference today, or 6 best quotes. He's just so quotable. He has so many good one-liners. He just has fun with the media, and you can just tell he's a player's coach, and guys just love to play for him.
I would say probably heading into this season, the media had a few darlings, you could say. One of them was, watch out for these Minnesota Vikings. Well, week 1, that obviously didn't prove to be true. But this is one, I think you're absolutely right, that the media could definitely jump on board and have the Arizona Cardinals be their darling. However, I still think they win these next 2 home games, and they're 4-0. The fans overall still would not give them due credit.
Well, those fans need to have their heads adjusted then. And I'll say this about the Minnesota Vikings. They're one of the most unlikable teams when you really think about them, with Adrian Peterson. Mike Zimmer does nothing for me. But you're right, though.
Yeah.
I mean, people love the defense they play.
They loved it.
They're missing a couple offensive linemen, and they were horrible in that first game. But they don't have any big play threats. And I don't think, no one's going to challenge Green Bay in that division, I don't think, in the NFC North. But yeah, the key to the Cardinals is just staying healthy, not getting past one week to the next. Do not look past anything you do.
I don't think that's possible with Bruce Arians.
I agree with you.
I
totally agree that because of Bruce Arians, he'll cut you before you do something to sabotage the big picture.
Physically cut or cut you from the team?
I think he'll go to the waiver wire first before any physical violence. But no, he's not. He will not put up with any nonsense, which is all you can ask for from a fan base, from your coach. That your coach just will do the right thing when it comes to this team, allow no nonsense, any toxic mess to come in, and just wants one thing: to win.
But can't you hear the fans, national fans right now? Okay, yeah, I guess they beat the Rams at home. Oh, they beat the Niners at home. What have they...
Exactly what I was going to say. I'm not as bold as Tom, so I'm going to make a semi-bold prediction, okay? When the Cardinals start 4, I think they will probably start 4-0. I don't see why they wouldn't. If they start 4-0, they will not be number 1 in any single power ranking nationally, even if they're the only remaining undefeated team.
Probably right. As long if New England's 3-1, they'll be number 1, right? Don't you think? I mean, the way their offense looks unstoppable right now.
They're 0-2.
Yeah,
New Orleans.
hey, you just keep winning, not caring what the rest of the country says or thinks. Eventually, everybody will fall in line.
But it goes back to, Jason talked about them playing with a chip on their shoulder. It helps, old Bruce Arians, and I don't know if he's big on bulletin board material. I kind of feel like he's probably not. He's just like, just get motivated on your own or get off my team.
Right.
But he could absolutely use that to say, we're 4-0 and no one's talking about us still.
Yeah.
It's an easy conversation to have with your team. It takes
Easy
like 10
motivation too, you're right.
But wouldn't you love the spin that he would actually put on it? He'd use that context, but I would just man, to have a reality show with the Cardinals right now, I think would be a lot of fun just to hear, because he's savvy. He's going to reference it, I think, in some way, but in his own way. He doesn't go for any of that fake rah-rah stuff. But if he thinks he can get an edge, the situation that he went back to Chicago, he doesn't hide it. Mm-hmm. He didn't try to change the tone of the questioning in the press conferences leading up to this game. The fact that the Bears dissed him, did not hire him, he talked about it. He said, hey, I'm glad I'm here. I thought I had the job. I don't know what I did wrong. Wouldn't have done anything differently. But so it's not like he shies away from it or just tries to manipulate the conversation all the time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if they start out 4-0, I think it's really going to have to be that defense is going to have. We'll get to those defensive numbers here in a little bit, but we actually have Faye Fredericks on the line, ABC 15 anchor. She was just. Well, we actually do not, apparently. But yeah, we'll talk about
the Seahawks. We are 0 for 2.
That's right.
Faye was going to give us another suggestion as far as who could return punts.
What's that?
Another suggestion as far as who could return
punts.
punts.
Let's put Faye back there.
Yeah, right.
Why not?
All you have to do is just do this. You're good. You're good.
Well, let's talk about those defensive numbers, because if they're going to stand any chance this year, they're going to have to keep up the level of play. The Cardinals allowed 335 yards overall to the Bears 300. Well, here's what we're talking about. Cards, 2 sacks, 7 tackles for losses, and 2 touchdowns. And as we mentioned before, guys, those 2 Cardinal turnovers, the defense stood their ground and forced 2 field goals. So 6 points from those 2 turnovers. You can live on that all day long.
Hey, they put points on the scoreboard yesterday, and anytime a defense does that, it can wash away, some of the other things that might show up on a stat sheet. But you know what? This is a work in progress. All right. Yeah. This is just he's got 2 games under his belt as a defensive coordinator. He's going to see things week by week that he's never seen before, right? And have the opportunity to really put his stamp on this defense. So that, without doubt, is a work in progress. And let's see, they have to show improvement every single week.
Real quick, guys, Cardinals, 10 defensive touchdowns since 2013, the most in the NFL. No one else has more than 8.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
And that had a lot to do with the previous defensive coordinator. They had a real attack mentality.
Yeah.
When they'd get a turnover, they'd want to score.
Sure.
They'd want to push it.
All right, now we should have Faye Fredericks on the line, ABC 15 anchor. And Faye, it sounds like you were out there mingling with some of the Cardinals today. What was it like? Do we have Faye? Sounds like we don't have Faye. We are 0-2, guys. I think we're like 0-6 at this point. But guys, we want to hear from you. 602-685-3017. I promise we do have the ability to put you on the air here. Please give us a call. But guys, we talked a little about the Cardinals being the best team in the NFC. At what point in the season do you think that will actually be a conversation nationwide?
Now,
what would it take?
Now or next weekend? I think, with 2 games.
Really? That early?
Well, look. The media has to have something to talk about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a topic of conversation.
Many favorites they'd rather talk about.
You mean when do I think that the rest of the country will actually acknowledge the Cardinals?
Yes.
Fairly soon. Let's see. I mean, if they're 3-0 next week, they'll start getting more respect. It's not like they're disrespected. I mean, let's not say that.
Right.
I thought they were at the beginning of the year. I thought it was a complete show of disrespect what Sports Illustrated did.
Yeah.
Remember the Sports Illustrated rankings?
Predictions are his predictions.
Yeah.
They had, and this is the collection of all the editors at Sports Illustrated. This wasn't just one person. They had San Francisco number 1, St. Louis number 2, San Francisco number 3. I don't think San Francisco will win 3 games this year. I think 3 is the ceiling for victory. I think they're that bad. I'm sorry,
No.
Jason.
I see more than
They're
that.
horrible. And then they had the Cardinals number 4. So we'll see. Week by week, we all know you keep Carson Palmer healthy, chances are you're going to win the game.
I think some of the doubt comes with we don't know how it's week to week with Carson Palmer. We don't know who's going to be healthy. He's had 2 ACL tears. He's 35 years old. I think some fans and analysts are justifiably looking at it like, okay, can he stay healthy this week? Can he stay healthy next week?
Sure.
And I think that's reasonable. I mean, it's hard to say, it's tough to play, stay healthy for 16 games, especially when you're that, sorry, caution, when you're that old, and when you've had those kinds of injuries, and it's just one of those things where you take a wait and see approach on a week-to-week basis. And to that end, I don't think that's unfair.
Right. Now,
are you getting the feeling that the Cardinals aren't getting enough respect right now? It's way too early to even say
I
that.
don't think people are blatantly disrespecting the Cardinals. They're just talking about other teams. So you want to do that as disrespect, that's fine. It's just, the Cardinals are not going to come, like if ESPN or whoever has 3 bullet points to talk about for the NFL this weekend, are the Cardinals going to come up? No, maybe Jay Cutler's injury would come up, but the Cardinals wouldn't come up right now. I understand that, but again, as far as a chip on their shoulder thing, that's an easy card to play.
What I think more of is the storyline of the 2015 season so far, not the 2-0 teams, it's the 0-2 teams, and those are crazy. That like we mentioned again, Baltimore, New York Giants, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Seattle, all 0-2. No one saw that coming.
Yeah, and then you think about it. Okay, who's capable? Who's in a division where that's not going to hurt them too much? New Orleans, Atlanta's looking okay. Carol, how about the NFC South? I mean, they have 2 undefeated teams. They used to be the joke of the NFL. Yeah. Tampa's 1-1, and then New Orleans, who everybody thought was going to win the division, is 0-2. I think they're going to be okay because that division isn't so lopsided with a great team that I think New Orleans. If Drew Brees' arm is okay. I mean, there's talk that his arm is shot, right? That he has some serious issues with his throwing arm. They missed Jimmy Graham, who doesn't really fit into Seattle. That's not a good
last
fit
night,
so far.
1 catch, seriously?
And then I look at Baltimore. Pittsburgh's clearly the class of that division. So they have some work to do at 0-2 to get back. But, man, that's just the thing with the NFL. You never know when they do schedule rankings. And the Cardinals, on paper, had one of the tougher schedules going into the season. You just never know. Injuries change things. Chemistry changes things. Yeah. But you start 0-2 and you start gripping and you become 0-3, you got real problems.
Well, I would say the Falcons concern me a little bit. Yeah. They're 2-0. They look like they're the real deal on offense. Julio Jones could be the best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, he's great.
Just a beast.
Plus, Quinn is such an upgraded head coach for Atlanta.
Oh, absolutely.
And Seattle misses him. That's another thing that you don't think about Seattle. They miss Dan Quinn, now the head coach at the NFL.